and welcome to today's art stream. Thank you all very much for stopping by, and hello to Amazing Barrel in chat, and thank you so much to LGS428 and Clockwork SJ for following. We're gonna get stuck into it straight away today. As you can see, I've already done a little bit of work on the paint for this piece. Currently working on this character's portrait. Kind of just getting started with adding in the tone and the shading for the face, working out where the shadows and highlights are going. So that's kind of what we're going to carry on with this afternoon. But yeah, as you see, this character is a noble from Waterdeep. She's also a wizard's apprentice and has very cool fashion sense. I always love doing kind of frilly, baggy sleeve blouses, that kind of stuff. But noble attire is always a lot of fun to paint. So, without further ado, let's go back to the skin layer, making sure this little option up there is selected to keep this going neatly. And I'll carry on with what I was doing just before I paused earlier, which is just smoothing out a few of these shadows over here. Hi Rebel, yeah, I'm doing well this afternoon. Feels good not to be too exhausted at the end of the week. It's been a very busy one. Alright, so I'm just gonna check my reference over there. What I might do here is I'm going to remove a couple of lines that we no longer really need. We don't really need that up there, or this, or these. So we've already got those shapes kind of in place. Line art just kind of makes it a little bit too untidy at this point. So, and then I'm going to soften the line underneath the front of the eyelid, because that also doesn't need to be quite so firm. Like so. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of light reflecting on the top of the lid. Nice small brush for this. Just there. And a little bit on the upper eye as well. There. And the eyes already start to have a bit more character. Alright, so with that done, I think the next thing I want to do, I kind of want to get these cheeks a bit darker and rosier. So let's do that. Let's deepen the red of this shadow color a tiny bit. And just very gently add a bit of intensity to the cheeks. And then while we're here, I might also blend this line a little bit. Oh, thank you so much, Clockwork SJ. Yes. I have to have I usually play D&D on Wednesdays, but unfortunately, we didn't play this week, so I have to wait till next week for my D&D game. Alright, I think it's time to add some highlights. So what I'm going to do is I'll make a new layer above the skin, make sure Create Clipping Mask is selected, just normal layer. I'm going to use some of these slightly lighter colours that I've identified. And we're just going to go straight in with adding in some light. In this case, the light's kind of coming more from the left-hand side. I usually have a habit of painting so light comes in from the right. I think maybe it's to do with being right-handed, or just getting used to doing it that way, but in this case, we're doing something slightly different. Just gonna chase these shadows back a little bit if the light really is coming from this side. Hey, Damianus! Yeah, it's a shame missing games. I usually play once a week on Wednesdays, and usually once every 2 weeks on Thursdays or Tuesdays. But this week's been a D&D free week, which kind of sad in some ways. In other ways, I've had a lot going on, so sometimes it's nice to have a bit of a breather. Alright, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a more golden version of this colour that's a bit even lighter and use that to add some extra highlights. especially as you tend to get the more golden colours coming in as you move up towards the top of the head. And then just blending it in with what we already have. And then on the chin. And making sure those edges are, whoops, not too bright. And not too rough either. So let's zoom in a bit just to blend these. And then looking at my reference, we've also got a little bit of light coming around the edge of her smile. And then we will also have some coming off of the left hand side of the lip. So starting about there. And then always making sure we blend in what we've done to keep the skin texture nice and smooth. Hey Cyber Spectre, welcome to today's stream. Always lovely to have you here. Okay. I'm doing alright, yeah. It's been a busy week and I'm ready for the weekend. But before we get there, we're gonna finish off some artwork. Yes, I hope everyone else has had a good week, or at least a week that is now the weekend. Oof, that's gonna take that's a bit of a wait. I'm sorry that you've had to push it back, but I'm sure it'll be really good once you do get started. Let's brush a bit smaller. Okay, so next thing to do, we need more light. I'm gonna draw this across to the other side of the cheek. And then we've actually got some side light coming in quite brightly down that side of the cheek. And we have a really bright highlight colour here that we can use in the places of the most light. So that will be kind of this brow here, this cheek, and having to think about how I want to do this. Because it will be on this brow as well, just not quite as harsh. Okay, so that's coming along all right. Trying to decide where to go next. I think some of this light needs to be drawn down the side of the nose. Here. Yeah, that's better. Then soften up here a bit too. Okay. So with that in place, we need to just tidy up the forehead a tiny bit. And then before we do too much else, there's something I would like to do. Is I'd like to unify the colours a little bit, but first, there's just a bit patch of dark there to get rid of. That's better. Okay. Ooh. Thinking now, I want a little bit more shadow. Like this should do nicely. And then blend that in as usual. Here we go. Now what I'm going to do, as I mentioned earlier, is we're going to unify the colours a little bit just by tweaking with the colour balance. For example, we can kind of push it in different directions. That's kind of hilarious. Oh wait, no. What we got to do first is merge it down. And, before I forget, add some highlight to this cheek as well. Which then needs to be tidied up and blended in, as usual. But we can do that quickly. And then take that darker colour in just to put the shape back in for the bottom of the eyelid. Like so. Lovely. Okay, now we can tweak the colours a bit. So if we wanted to make... Oh no, I still can't. No, we have. Yeah, good. Okay, now we can do that. So we could push towards making skin tone a little more golden. Pinky. I kind of don't know if I like any of these. What to do? Maybe just carry on as is for now. I think once we've got the nose in, we'll see a bit more. Hey, Ed Fortune, welcome to the stream. Okay, so next up, we're gonna start with the nose. So, oh, actually, I always do this. I say I'm gonna do one thing, and then I'm like, oh, I've just seen something I need to do. Let's just get that nice side light coming in, like so. Okay, now we can do the nose. So new layer above the skin, clipping mask, normal. And what we're going to do is just go in with a nice pinkish tone. Probably take from about here as a starting place. Yeah. We're just going to do what I call the Animal Crossing method by starting with painting in a basic kind of triangle shape where the nose is. Once that is in, we can blend. And we're just going to blend in the top and sides of the triangle into the skin tone we already kind of have. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a bit of shadow coming down the side. And blend that in. Okay, so now that's all blended in, we can start adding some darkness. Right, lovely. So we're going to start with this colour, I think, and go from there. So I'm just going to keep an eye on my reference as I do this. I tend to start by kind of outlining the lower shadows of the nose. So in this case, we've got one that comes across there. And basically we're just putting together the contours of the nose. Hi, Roll Positive Gaming. Welcome to the stream. Okay, so with that done, we want to add a little more shadow into the side of the nose. So, as we bring that edge up, we're very lightly just going to mark out the shape of the side of the nostril. And then blend those edges back. And we'll do that blending for the other side as well. Like so. Because then we can start lightening up the parts of the nose that need to be brighter. And the parts that need to be darker. In this case, we'll have darker tones on this side. Thereabouts. And we will have lighter tones coming in on the left-hand side because that's where our light source roughly is coming from. So let's get a really nice bright colour actually and just start with a bright point of light. And then we can just kind of start adding that all across the side of the nose that's catching the light. Alright, we can take a brighter colour, put a nice splash of that on the bridge, and draw that down. Yeah, so I find it's easier to put down almost geometric shapes of colour and then soften them all. Again, it's a technique that will vary between all artists pretty much, but this is just how I do things. And then very gently blending to get that nice differentiation in tone going on. And do the same down here. And this patch of light's actually going to crawl over right to the other side like that, more or less. Alright, a little bit more blending over this side, and we're pretty good to go. Okay. Get a little bit softer on this side, add a bit more light in there, because there will be a very small amount that's going back there that we can then blend. Right. And with that blend kind of done, we can start to firstly bring out even more bright light kind of on this part of the nose here. And then we can go and add some more shadows. And this also means that we do need to add shadow to the underside and the nostril. Okay. So the lower side will be slightly blended in with the skin tone here. Before we then find a really nice dark tone for the actual nostril itself, which is of course going to attract a lot of shadow. Alright, and now what I'm going to do is make a new layer above the line art. As usual, I'm going to call it overlines. And we're going to use this to tone back some of this line art, which is a little bit too strong. So with a nice small brush, we're just going to paint right over the top of the line art we've already established, using other colours that are nearby to make it a little bit more gentle. Like so. A little bit of side light there. And then we can kind of push back and fiddle with the shape of the nostrils a bit, just to get kind of the shapes we want. Okay, so let's save, because we do not want, oh, hang on, not save as, we just want to save. There we go, we don't want to lose everything we've been doing. We really don't. No, not a fan of that. Okay. So, with that, we can now move on to the next part, which I think in this case is going to be the lips. Yeah, I think lips are next. So, I've already picked some colours for this earlier, so we're just going to start by putting down some base colours. we can do layer for the bottom lip, which will be rendered with a slightly lighter pink. Okay. So with those in place, we can start to shade them a bit. So that kind of works the same as what we've been doing with the skin, just gently adding light and shadow in the areas where it's required. So in this case, more of the shadow is going to be on the right hand side. And then that shadow is going to come across and affect the bottom lip. Hey Lizeth, welcome. I'm glad you could make it. Okay, kind of see how we're starting to get that shape coming in. And then we have quite a dark line that comes on the bottom of the lips there. And then a bit more of this light colour that comes in the top. And there you can kind of see how they're starting to take shape. And something else we do need to do here is we actually need to get rid of this bit of line art because it's too strong. We do not need it there. You can see that's already kind of improved it a bit. Okay, and since we're already on the overline, so let's carry on here. We're going to do the same with the top lip. Also add this shadow to the join in the lips as well. And the little bits of shadow that you'll get around corners of the lips as well. I'm going to bring this shadow down a bit as it's a bit too dark. Like so. Yes, this character is a wizard's apprentice from Waterdeep. I believe she is a Waterdevian noble. Alright, just softening those lines and colours like so. And then, whoops, going back to the skin there for a moment to add a little bit of light there. could tone down this blush. I think it might be a bit too deep. Yeah, that's better. I'm much happier with that. Okay. And then a tiny bit more. I just want to bring this part of the lips slightly over to the left. Like so. Okay, next, just put some light around the lips, I think. Maybe even bring that bit over to the right. There we go, they're a bit more balanced now. And then we can grab a lighter colour and just add in a little bit of texture there. Okay. In fact, this might actually be quite a bit bigger. There we go. I like that. They look nice and full now. Oh, what are you guessing? I'm always interested to hear what folks guess for hair and eye colour. Alright, let's do another save while we have. Interesting choice. Alright, next thing to do is eyes, but before I do that, I've just been kind of checking over my ref materials again, and I want to just alter some colour a tiny bit down here. And actually, not so much lighten, just tone down that left nostril a bit. It was a bit too over the top dark. Oops. There we go, that's a bit better. Okay, so let's actually shade the eyes a little bit more. First thing, we'll just merge the lip and nose down because we are happy with those. And I'm even tempted just to, with a size 6, soften this a little bit. We still want the line there, but we don't want it to be too heavy. Okay, so now we can have a little bit of fun with these eyes. I'm going to take this towards red a little bit more, kind of get a little bit of suggestion of eyeshadow maybe even. Whoops, first here I'm on the wrong layer. But actually I'm thinking this layer might serve my purposes. Because we have a situation where the light on this side can actually do with being a little bit brighter. Because the light's coming from the left, there's no reason why the left-hand corner of the eye would be super dark. We're just going to kind of use this to get a bit more life into these eyes. Thank you so much, Rupert Art and Faranath, for following. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm really getting, somehow I'm getting kind of Winona Ryder vibes. I don't know where that's coming from. Alright. Yeah, it's going quite nicely. Let's just continue pulling this darker tone over a little bit and then blending when we get far enough. Okay. In fact, we need to go even darker for the right-hand corner. Okay, those are some happy looking, well, not necessarily happy, but I'm happy with those. So what I'll do now is I will go right down to a dark colour just to add a little bit of emphasis on the eyelashes. Bit of eyeliner, I suppose you could say. Same on the other side. And in here it's a little too dark, so I'm going to go in with the brown again. Just to tone it back. Then we can take that bright white and add it in the places where we're going to get some natural points of light coming in, such as there, coming around these corners. Hey, Uriel Actea! Oh, and they also have a bit here. That's a bit much. Let's turn that down a wee bit. Just a tiny bit on the right hand side. Okay, so with all of that in place, oh, I've just noticed I want some more dark around here. I always do this. Some of this tasty dark brown just to follow that corner around a tiny bit. There we go, that's better. Yes, my hair is all short now. The fringe has grown out massively. I actually cut it in August, so I need to either take the scissors to my own fringe or just wait. We shall see. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the eyes themselves. So, new layer. Just going to call it eyes. And the base colour is going to be this dark brown. And because we've already kind of emphasised the eyelashes and the edges of the eye on different layer, we don't need to worry about being super neat. I'm just gonna, whoops, that's not the right layer to erase at all, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. Alright, making sure the eyes are alpha locked. we can then start to add light to them. Oh, thank you so much, Real Positive Gaming. As I say, I try to keep my Instagram as up to date as my my Twitter. Twitter tends to see stuff first. I tend to post on Instagram like the day after because the algorithms are really weird. I tend to find Instagram's better if you post around midday, and Twitter's better in the evening. Do I paint under contract for anyone? I've done a few bits and pieces. Like, unfortunately, I can't quite talk about yet. I did some work for the Awakened anthology last year, which was really, really cute. It's a book all about Awakened D&D kind of beasties. I believe published by Criminy, what were they called? My mind is really blank on a Friday. Published by Metal Weave Games, that's it, there we go. They've done some really lovely products in the last few months, so check them out. I've also done a few other bits and pieces this year I'm not able to talk about just yet. But when I am, I will. Alright, these eyes are almost done. I'm just going to add this kind of lilac around the corners. Because then we'll need to go in with a kind of pinkier tone to do the inner corners. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Mark, thank you for the raid. Oh my gosh. Oh boy, it's the raid. Here it comes. Welcome everyone, welcome raiders. As you can see today, I am painting a noble wizard's apprentice character. She is a delight. And thank you all so much for stopping by. We're kind of working on eyes at the moment, which reminds me I need to check what colour eyes this character's meant to have. And thank you for the bits, Ed Fortune. Thank you so much. Right. Oh, we've got freckles as well, and blue eyes. So let's get started on these lovely blue eyes. For painting the iris itself, I'm gonna make a new layer above the eyes layer. Make sure that's clipped so we can't paint outside of those bounds. And we're gonna start painting these eyes. And painting eyes is always tons of fun. So I'm pleased that you guys rated at a perfect moment. So starting with a really dark kind of slate blue, and a bigger brush than that. There we go. Just gonna roughly paint in where I've got the eyes marked out in the line art. Like so. Then make sure that has alpha locked. Take a darker colour and make ourselves a little bit of a gradient. Just roughly, it doesn't need to be perfect or anything. Thank you all so much, you're all incredibly kind, so thank you. Then we're going to pick a colour that's almost black but not quite. Go up to my layer on top of the line art, pick a smaller brush and pop in a pupil. And then we're just going to blend the pupil into the top part of the iris. These kind of arcing marks that also then blend into the outside of the eye itself. And this kind of shows me that I need to move this pupil slightly over to the left and make this one ever slightly bigger. Alright, so next step is adding some light and making these nice bright blue. So, taking a lighter blue. Our light source is kind of on the left, but like fairly gentle. So, still on this layer above the line art, we're just going to add some nice bright colour underneath the pupil there. Going back in to put the shape back into the pupil if need be. And then we'll do the same on the other side with a slightly different version of the colour. And then we're going to take a much brighter, kind of more saturated version of what we've been using. Go all the way down to a 3, no actually let's do a 4. There we go. And I'm going to start by drawing a bright ring around the pupil itself, and then little lines radiating outwards from that ring. Kalnia, do I have a way to contact you about business inquiries? Yes, the best way to contact me is either through my Twitter. My DMs are always open for that sort of thing. Or Patreon or email, which I believe my email is also on my Twitter. I am closed at the moment because I'm kind of fully booked for the next couple of months. But I will be opening commissions again sometime next year. Alright, so that's a bit of colour in those eyes. The last step is everyone's favourite layer. The shinies layer. I'm going to take a really nice bright colour there. Almost white, but not quite. And just add a bright spot of light to make these eyes really pop. And there we have some eyes. Okay, so yeah, pretty pleased with how she is coming along. And next up, I'm thinking eyebrows. I'm thinking we need to do those. So, someone else predicted earlier in chat that the eyebrows and hair were going to be a lightish kind of brown. And that is indeed the colour we're going to do. Let me just double check. Yes, a long kind of chestnut brown hair. Thank you so much, Rebel. So when I'm painting kind of chestnut brown, I tend to start with quite a reddish base colour because I tend to get lighter before I get darker. And then just using the same brush that we've been using for everything else, directly onto the skin layer, I'm just going to scribble in the eyebrows. Like so. Then we can take it a smidge darker to add some shadows to the bottom part of these brows. And then popping back onto the overlines layer for some highlights, which will be in a much kind of brighter goldy brown, like so. And then we zoom out, we have some brows. So, next thing to do is to finish the rest of the skin painting. So we'll be wanting to do the neck and the hands. So going back down to the skin layer, where we've kind of been playing for most of this. I'm just going to merge this down actually first. There we go. To the skin layer, we will start by, going light or going dark? I think we'll start by going dark. Right. And for this, neck's going to be pretty dark. We've got a lot of shadows being cast by the hair and also the chin. So we'll start with the deepest shadow, which is kind of there. Then kind of gets lighter. So big brush for nice kind of large areas of paint. And then we'll blend those together. And then as we kind of get lighter under here, we're almost kind of getting more saturated, so this might be a bit too orange. I kind of like it actually. And then making sure as always it's all fully blended and nice and smooth. And we also have a little bit of blending on the other side, not a huge amount, but just so it's not a hard line. And then on this side, we have the lighter colours coming in. And the very lightest colours will kind of be on that left-hand side as before. And then again, blending it so we've got a smooth kind of progression between tones. How long have I been doing art like this? I have been painting kind of with a serious view to knowing it would be my, I guess, my occupation, my vocation. I've been doing like that for about 15 years, I kind of settled on it as a, well, no, not 15. 10 years knowing it was what I wanted to do in life, you know? So with a serious kind of looking to improve and looking at ways I could improve for about 10 years. But I've kind of just doodled and drawn all my life, pretty much. I started digital painting when I was about 15, and just kind of carried on since then. Right, so we've got just a little bit more real nice dark rich tone just under there. And what we will do, should I do that now? Yeah, let's do that now. I'm going to go into the overlines layer, and I'm going to start painting over the line art one more time, getting rid of the harsh line of the chin here. I'm going to do this from underneath and on top, because if we just do it from on top, it'll just make the chin look too wide. If you just do it from underneath, it'll look too harsh. Oh, thank you so much for the sub gift. And thank you very much to Raw Positive Gaming as well. I say I like to work with lots of different people, so it'll be fun. And then let's take this nice bright side light and use that also to take away from the line art a little bit, because it doesn't need to be that heavy. I mean, the line art's going to be minimized in a minute when we start painting the hair, but this is just to give the edge of the face a nice smooth finish. Alright, so with the face and neck done, let's move on to the hands. I'm not going to put quite as much, you don't need to put quite so much detail into the hands, purely because your eyes tend to be drawn towards the face. So that's where the most attention is going to be on this piece. And don't forget to save. Thank you very much, Rebel. I would definitely have lost everything without you wonderful people. Alright, so let's start adding some highlights to the hands. As you can see, there's a few areas that are not as opaque as I'd like them to be, but let's just go in with a big brush to start with. Because we're going to get large areas of light, again, mostly on the left-hand side, because that is where our light's coming from. And similar on this hand, often the knuckles are quite a good place to start from. They always catch quite a lot of light. Sometimes using a big brush can be a little bit too messy, so I'll size down for the fingers themselves. And sizing, whoops, sometimes it likes to drag the cursor with it a bit. Alright, so with that basic kind of highlighting going on, we can now blend this in. In terms of software and equipment, what am I using / recommend? In terms of software, I'm using Adobe Photoshop CC, which is the most, it's like the current subscription Photoshop model. I've tried a few other pieces of software and didn't like them as much. I know a lot of artists use Clip Studio Paint, which is a lot more cost effective. The only reason I don't use Clip Studio Paint is it doesn't work very well with my hardware. In this case, I'm using the Cintiq 16, which is a Wacom tablet from last year. I think it came out about a year and a half ago. No, a year and 3/4. And it's basically, it was the cheapest Cintiq that they offered, which, you know, it's still very expensive. It was still about £400 for me. I could just about afford it at the time, and I'm pleased I did, because without it, I would be a lot less efficient. I find that using a Cintiq or a screen tablet really helps my painting efficiency. I struggle when I can't see exactly what I'm doing. But yes, so I definitely recommend the Cintiq 16. It's been a really nice tablet to work with. I've never really tried any of the Huan or X-Pen, any of those lines. I know they're a lot more cost effective. I can't really speak for my opinion of them because I've never really tried any of them. But they might be a cheaper alternative if you want to try digital art to the Cintiq line, which are very pricey and kind of more suitable if you know this is what you want to do for a living rather than just kind of as a hobby. Okay, so with that now mostly blended in, we can move on to the next stage of colour. Relictaire, yes, as everyone says, your work is wonderful and congratulations on making affiliate. Right, let's add a bit more shading to these hands. As you can see, we do need to go in and pop in some more opacity in places. Okay, that should probably be enough. No, I'm not sensei. I make up everything I'm doing as I go along, trust me. Imposter syndrome times 300, 100%. The trick is, make it up as you go along, don't plan anything, and sometimes it'll work out right. And thank you so much to Leo2, Pastel Briar, and gosh, there were a bunch of other follows weren't there earlier. Okay, let's go through some of them. Goat of Fear SNK, Grok Iron Hide, Thomas Atron, Zodlander, K-Pop Super Cool, Zarkonix, Skew U, Nope Plays, Atlas Seleno, Unexpected Wings, Rupert Art. Thank you so much all for following. I hope you enjoy the stream today. Oh yeah, Amy R, I totally get that feeling. I have played a lot of Destiny, especially since the new expansion just came out. I got into Destiny like super hard over summer as like a distraction from life sort of thing, and it really hit the spot and I can't stop playing it. And yeah, don't worry, I procrastinate massively as well when I'm struggling to work. And we all have plenty of days like that at the moment, so you're not alone. It can be incredibly difficult to summon up that motivation some days. Alright, we're getting there with hands. Steadily and surely. Right, let's start adding in some proper darkness. Yeah, it is one of the most common, like, well-known brands. I know progressively more and more artists using, like, Huon and stuff for work, and I've heard they're really good. Also, the iPad with, like, Procreate and apps like that are really good. Personally, I think because I've been painting for so long using a graphics tablet like this, I didn't get on so well with using an iPad because the feel of it is so different. But it really works for some people, so if you have an iPad, it might be worth getting an Apple Pencil and trying it out rather than splashing a huge amount of money on a Cintiq. Alright. Getting there with these hands. Let's add a little bit more light to this situation. Yeah, exactly, they're a lot cheaper. A lot better for price. Again, my problem is some things don't work the way I kind of am used to them working, or the way, whoops, having said that, Photoshop does things like that sometimes. In my case, I'm very used to the pressure sensitivity and all the settings that I have here, so I'm kind of a captive audience. So don't take my word for it. I love my tablet, but it's not the best one out there, I'm sure. Alright, let's do the fingernails. They're gonna be ever so slightly lighter, I think, than the skin tone. How do you start? How do you find clients? In my experience, I first opened for commissions when I was at university. I charged like 10 quid for a full character when I started out. Don't do that. Don't put yourself through that. It's not worth it. Always charge what's a fair rate for you. The going will be slow to start with. You might get like a client per month for something very small. But unfortunately, that's just kind of the way it is to start out with. You need to take that time to build up a name, a brand, that kind of stuff. You need to be present on social media, kind of try and post every day. Doesn't necessarily have to be finished art every day, but the more often you can post art, the better. Unfortunately, the hustle is exhausting and not great for your mental health, for sure. I've burnt out a lot in the past by trying to keep up with the algorithm on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. And I'm nowhere near as big as a lot of artists out there, so I just kind of do what I can. But yeah, it's all about being present and persistent and just kind of trying to keep up with it all. And the improvement will come naturally. Because the more commissions you do, the more you'll improve, the more clients you'll get, the more commissions you do, and then you improve. And it becomes a nice circle once you kind of get the ball rolling. Okay, cool. Hands and face are kind of done. So let's do another save. I can get rid of this layer. We do not need the palette anymore. Yeah, fan art helps. I would love to do more fan art right now, honestly. I'd really love to do some Critical Role or Adventure Zone fan art, but I just don't have time, which is a shame. I want to do more High Rollers fan art too. I wish I had time for these things. Actually just gonna... There we go. Just dull the eyes a tiny bit there. Well, not that much though. There we go. So now it is time to paint the hair, which will be a lot of fun. So, new layer underneath the skin. We're going to call it hair. Oh, I would die if you did that. Real Actea. I'm in love with Yasha. I love her so much. Yeah, the initial part is really hard. Honestly, you can't make it your full-time income right from the start. I did commissions whilst I had a like a full-time job to start with, and then I worked on commissions in the evenings or at lunch breaks, that kind of thing. And that's kind of how it has to start. It's not ideal. It's a lot easier if you have a partner who can help support you, if you know you want to do it full-time from the start. But if you don't have that kind of set up in place like I did, you kind of start whilst you're working and doing other things. Otherwise, it's too stressful trying to get enough clients to cover all of your needs right at the start, and you end up lowering your prices too much and like burning out, and it's just a bad time. Nope, wrong thing. There we go. That's the right brush. Oh, I love Yasha. I have a serious weakness for really soft but super buff barbarian ladies. I basically play one in my home game. My tiefling barbarian, and I love her. Alright, just gonna fill in the hair here and there. And she's got this really cute little hair bow going on at the back, which I'm very excited to paint. Toyo-san, welcome. I'm pleased you're able to join us. Mercy, I still adore. She is one of my first 5e characters, and it was so much fun. Oh, half-orc ranger, that sounds phenomenal. I wish I could give a discount for buff ladies. Tragically, my mortgage lender would probably not approve that. Right, let's just do this curly bit that comes down here. Yes, the Patreon does give you commission priority for when I open again. Basically what happens is when I open for commissions again, all patrons will hear about it basically 5 days or so before I open commissions to the rest, so basically generally. So you'll have 5 days to reserve a commission before I open them to everyone else. And you can basically guarantee a slot that way. I try and make sure that everyone who is part of my Patreon at the right tier can basically make sure they get a slot, because it got very oversubscribed last time and I absolutely hate saying no to people, but I have to have a way of working out how to do it. Okay, goodness me, I need to cut this fringe. It's a nightmare. And a little tiny twist down the bottom. There we go. And then there's a few little bits we'll just pop in up here. Go up to 9 or 7, that's fine. There we go. Alright, that's the left-hand side. No, yeah, that's left. I can tell my left from my right. Oh, Shannon J. Shannon is always a wonderful, wonderful commissioner who just... Shannon, your particular ways of sending reference are always so perfectly cover all the details, and I love it. It makes my life so much easier. Let's finish doing the top part before we do the kind of dangling curls there. So I find that the most useful way to do reference documents is doing a Google Doc, which has obviously all the photos that you find are the most inspirational for the character. You can also write kind of text descriptions of bits or simple kind of personality traits. I find it's the easiest way to keep everything together. Also the fact that on Patreon you can't actually share images, which kind of seems ridiculous to me. But you can share Google Docs links. So it's the easiest way if you're on the Patreon to share your reference with me. Sometimes it's also easier than if you put it all in an email, because obviously I have to switch between emails quite a lot, but if it's a Google Docs tab, I can keep that open in my browser basically all day. I have like, how many tabs do I have open right now? A lot! But the point is they can stay open, as opposed to emails, which I especially at the moment because I'm trying to buy a house. Stupid of me, I know, in the middle of a pandemic. But it gets so cold in my flat in the winter, and I kind of want to move before February. And we waste so much money on electricity where we are at the moment because we have ridiculously inefficient and non-eco-friendly heating in this house, and I hate it. Well, in this house, in this flat. Bye, Rebel. Thank you so much for stopping by, as always. Hope you have a lovely afternoon. Alright, we're almost finished with the kind of base layer for the hair. We'll just get this last bit done, and then we can go in and render it all out and get it looking pretty. Just go from the bottom, since we already have a fairly small brush. There we go. Oh, I'm sure it's perfectly understandable, but that sounds really wonderful. Lazaf, I'll probably be in contact with you pretty soon, actually. I've been getting through my list at a pretty good rate. So okay, so just a quick once over to make sure this area is all fully opaque. Yeah, it seems to be. And then we can do the fun part. So, to start off, making sure that we have alpha channels locked as usual. Then, we're going to select a darker colour, jumping down the spectrum towards reds a little bit, because that's the way I like to do my shadows. Yes. And now we know our light source is roughly coming from the left, sorta. So we can add most of the shadow on the right hand side, like so. And we can even get a bit darker right on this edge here. And then, kind of conversely, we can select a lighter chestnut brown for this side. And you can already see how this is going to go. So, we'll then get a Gaussian? I still will never know roughly how to say it. And this amount looks about right, actually. Yes. So now we've got ourselves a nice little gradient. What I'm going to do next is eyedrop from one of the darker parts of the gradient and use this to start off our shading. In fact, this is almost too dark. We've got quite a dramatic differentiation in tones here. Alright, so with that done, we're gonna switch to my favourite hair rendering brush. To anyone who wants to know what this brush is, it's called the Luan Fur Brushes set. You can find it if you just Google that, basically. I think it's on a Gumroad. You can pay a little bit to support the artist who's made them. But they are wonderful for rendering realistic hair and fur. So as you can see, just following the direction of the hair, I start by shading the roots coming out from the parting. And you don't need to press very hard, you can be very gentle with this one. Especially as we're not going super dark just yet. And this will start to add our shadows. Very gentle on this left-hand side, because again, this is where most of our light's coming from. We can be a bit more liberal on the right-hand side. And we can select from a dark colour as well. And then using this, we just continue to use this tone to give shape to the hair. Hey, Lothario! Yes, we're doing good in here. We've got a lot done today, which is awesome. It's always great when we have a productive session. Let's get really nice and dark for this bit, because we're getting towards the darker sections of the hair anyway. What kind of shades do I use with black hair without it looking grey? Alright, so with black hair, I tend to start with a very dark, in fact I'll show you. When painting black hair, I'll make sure this is on very slightly the pinky side of red, and I'll start with a colour like this. Then to shade it, I will go towards purple, and to highlight it, I will stick to that red and pick colours like this that are slightly brownish red. And I find that's the best approach to black hair. When's the last time I did black hair? I can't remember, but there should be some examples and stuff I've uploaded recently. But if you take them into something like Photoshop and eyedrop some colours, you'll see that black is never truly black. It's always a very dark brown or red or purple. I do the same with black leather. Often that's actually a very dark brown. Yes, the Warrior with the Raven was that sort of style. Alright, we're getting towards the point on that side where we're going to need to get some darker colours going on. So let's just move over to the left again. Just after I add in some darker points here and there. And a tiny bit in the parting. Like so. We can start to add the darkness on this side. Thank you so much. Yeah, this brush is delicious. I'm so pleased I found it. Yeah, I don't know if they might do a version for Clip Studio. I am not sure. You'll have to check out. I'm pretty sure the artist's name is just Luan, so if you look at... I think they had a DeviantArt, which is where I got some of their stuff in the past. Might be worth checking out there. Okay, we're now at the point where we need a darker shadow for the lower parts of the hair. So I'm going to eyedrop from the very darkest point and just take it a bit darker. And more towards red as well. And now we can go in and get some really nice tasty shadows going on. And down here. It should contrast real nice with the shirt, because most of the clothing, at least the upper shirt and that kind of area, is going to be white. The little black bow, so it's nice to have these contrasting tones. Alright, so now we've got shadows for the inn. We're going to add some highlights. So taking from that lightest part of the gradient this time, up by the head and the hair. So we're going to take that light colour up there to some of the lower areas. Just to add some points of light. And yes, what AMER says is totally right. Just adding black and white to lighten or darken things can often make something quite washed out or unrealistic. It's the same reason that when I do shadow layers, I don't just use grey on the multiply. I tend to use purple and magenta. It actually looks a bit more realistic that way. Add some more up here. Okay, we're almost there now with this. Just adding a few more washed out highlights to the side. Okay, so the next stage is to add some proper bright highlights to the upper levels of the hair. So continuing with this nice kind of chestnut colour. Oh, go to Fierce. Okay, thank you so much. Painting hair can have that effect. There we go, just kind of moving around, kind of like treating the crown of the head as almost like a sphere, just moving around those edges. And we can bring some of these brighter highlights down the sides, especially on the left where most of the light is going to be hitting. But also little bits on the right, such as this kind of tuft that's coming down, and bits framing the side of the face. Like so. And then for one last push, a really bright highlight just in the center of the crown. Okay, and we have some hair. So I think the last thing I'm going to do here is a few touch-ups on the skin. You can kind of see a few points such as here where we've gone outside of our kind of boundary lines a little. So we're just going to tidy those up where we find them. Oops, not quite that far though. It's not too bad around there. I believe there's some down here by the chin. Alright, so, and with that, let's do one more thing. Let's take the line out there. By the way, that's what it looks like without the line up, just so you can see. We're going to recolor it. What we're going to do is I'm going to take, once again, that kind of mid-level purple, We're going to use this to recolor the line art itself, and what this does is it just gives a little bit more richness to these lines that still remain, because obviously not all of them are still there. We've painted over a lot of them. But yeah, it just kind of makes them blend in with the paintwork a bit better. So, do I want to leave it there? Is there one more thing I want to do? No, I think that's a good place to leave it for this afternoon. We painted basically a whole portrait and hair, so that's awesome. Yeah, we got a lot done. So, let's put some links in chat. If you would like to follow for updates about when I'm streaming, see this finished piece and others when I upload them, please give me a follow on Twitter. It's where I post most regularly about updates regarding commissions as well, so if that's something you'd be interested in, it's the best place to kind of keep an eye on things. If you are also a fan of Instagram, I also post finished work on there, as well as costume making and miniature painting, which I also do. Those are all things you can find on my Instagram. Next up, if you enjoyed the music in the stream, it's all by an artist named Kai Engel, which you can find both on the Free Music Archive as well as Spotify and a few other places, I think. But it's really cool, royalty-free music that's really atmospheric and nice to listen to, so I definitely recommend it. Next, if you missed the start of the stream, or you want to kind of see some more of my other work in progress, or just want something chill to put on in the background, I now have a YouTube channel where I upload my VODs of my streams, so you can kind of catch up on those. And yeah, give that a subscribe if you feel like it. Next up, ArtStation. If you purely want to see my portfolio and my best pieces of work, ArtStation is the place to go. It's just, you know, people know what ArtStation is. It's just kind of pure artwork, that kind of stuff. No social posts. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, my Patreon. If you would like to throw a little bit of support my way and help me make this my full-time occupation, which is what I'm endeavouring to do, please consider supporting my Patreon. You can get lots of bonuses on there, such as step-by-step tutorials that I've done a few of, works in progress, exclusive artwork. You can also get commission priority when I open my commissions again, so check that out if you are at all interested. Alright, well, I think that is that for today. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much to Mark Humes for the raid and all those lovely raiders who have stuck around with me. Honestly, it means the world to have you watching my little stream. So thank you all so very much. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay snug and stay safe. And I will be back on Wednesday next week, 5 p.m. GMT, that's UK time, for some more artwork. And who knows what I'll be streaming then. So yeah, have a lovely weekend. I will see you all soon and look after each other. Bye.